when Ed first started speaking, for those of you who don't know what a truck is, or porous pavement, it's sort of important to understand. He made a very important point, which is that, let's say we want to have porous pavement, which allows water to infiltrate streets, and then it recharges groundwater and it doesn't go into the stormwater system. That kind of system will quickly silt in, and it won't actually work anymore unless you have the right equipment, which would be what's called a vacuum truck, to pull that silt out and periodically allow it to be porous again. So there are things that we just don't have those vac trucks, and it will take time before the city of New York has that kind of maintenance infrastructure. But I wonder if, Barbara, maybe you could speak to what are kind of smaller, more local strategies that communities can do without this kind of expensive infrastructure that's not really in place yet.
Well, I think, yeah, many of the things that we've been talking about, the community swale sounds like a great idea. I was also, schools, I think, are a wonderful resource, because as kids learn about these things too, then it becomes part of, the future generations, how they've all embraced recycling and all those things from their elementary school days. I think it's a very important time to get kids involved in the world around them, and so having institutions take care of a local stormwater management garden. I mean, they're really gardens of a type. You don't have to have the pavers. I mean, you can have it come right into the ground, which is kind of low tech. So, there's really. It's really someone just doing it. It's not particularly, at least I don't think it's particularly highly skilled. It's just keeping your place clean more than anything. So communities and schools, I think, would be the best.
Eric, could you answer that same question? What can people do, let's say it is communities and schools, without kind of municipal scale resources for maintenance, like a vac truck? Like, what would you recommend?
Can I kind of steer this into what I was really wanted to say?
I think you're gonna anyway, so.
I'm going to. I'm kind of like this because I was still dreaming before we moved on. We have to have more public involvement, and however that happens, whether it's through green jobs programs in underserved neighborhoods, I would like to see some more blurring of the line between public and private. One of the reasons we're here is because, and in the gutter, is because the gutter is public, and we've got a lot of rooftops. And we've got a lot of backyards that are in concrete because they don't want rats. If we're really addressing the issue from a watershed issue, we have to go to everybody who lives and works in the watershed, which is everybody. So we have to start blurring those lines a little bit more and get into people's literally backyards and on their roofs. So it's things like this, getting the word out. I agree with the schools, and then in a lot of neighborhoods there are community centers and community groups, and I've worked with many in ecological restoration efforts, and I think that's a good way to start.
So that's your dream, is like a macro scale, because you didn't get into the dream part.
Yeah, that's my macro scale dream, and let's remember that we have to. I'm the guy who's going to be sitting across the table from the engineer, and this is, it's a watershed / sewer shed approach versus the end of pipe approach. So I'm the guy who's going to have to be looking at curve numbers, which is how fast water runs off, detention volumes, and what happens when you're trying to solve the CSO problem with green infrastructure. You realize you need land. Otherwise, you're just scraping at the edges. So we need land. We need more land than just the public space.